Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome to another guide video for Marvel Strike Force. Now, in tonight's video we will check out our first Guardians of the Galaxy character. It's the awesome Gamora we'll be having a look at. Now, in the video, what we do first is we start off by looking where you go to unlock her, and we look at the tags she has as well, because that's relevant to the campaign she can compete in and also the teams that she can work with. We follow that up by having a look at her stats. We then check out the abilities. Next up we have a look at the synergies. This is teams she can work in, but we also cover opponents that you want to avoid with her as well, and then finally we see where she places in the shield classification tier list as well. So first off, we'll start off with a general overview looking where you unlock her and checking out her tags as well. Gamora then is quite a simple character. She's all about putting out damage. Now the way she really does this is through the use of chain attacks, and that works in that she's got several skills that if you defeat an enemy with that particular skill, it then fills up her speed bar so she can attack again straight away. Now this can be great in certain levels, but if you're not able to defeat the enemy, it can actually slow her down a little bit as well, but that's something we will discuss as the video goes on. Now if you look where you go to unlock her, currently you can get her in Blitz. That's 5 shards a day you can get if you're doing relatively well there, and then Nexus 2.9, so it's a little bit further on, but once you get there it means you've got the 2 sources, so it doesn't take too long to farm her. When we look at the tags, it's Hero, Cosmic, Skill, Brawler and Guardian. The important ones really being Cosmic for the Cosmic campaign, so she can help you out, and the Guardian one. So pretty soon hopefully we'll have all 5 members of the Guardians of the Galaxy team, and I'm really curious to see how they'll play out. But what we'll check next will be her stats. For the stats here then, we look at 6 in total. You get 3 offensive stats and then we check out 3 defensive stats. We have a scale of A to F when we're looking at them here. Now the way I came up with this scale is I basically looked at the maximum and minimum stats and characters, removed any outliers, and then the difference between the maximum and minimum. I broke that into the 6 different categories. Now Gamora's got something very interesting going on with her kit, so you need to bear with me. When you first initially see the stats I throw up here, you're likely to unsubscribe from the channel, but don't do that, just do bear with me. So straight away when we look at the offensive stats here, you can feel your eye being drawn towards the damage rate, and it says F. Now I'll explain that in just a moment. Let's cover that our stats first. You've got speed, which is A, which is great for getting off attacks nice and early, and then you've got focus, which is D, which isn't really relevant to her because she's not doing any kind of debuffs. Now when it comes to the damage, classed as F, what I would say to do firstly is open up the game, go in and actually compare the damage or the base damage on her to other characters, and you'll see that she's way down below other characters. She's actually way down in the region of the same damage of Kingpin, who's a protector class. Now where this is salvaged is actually through her skills, because she has exceptionally high skill multipliers, and in a way I'm glad that we've got a character such as this to cover in one of these review videos, because it's a perfect example of how you shouldn't just solely look at stats on characters, but you need to look at their kit as well. So never look at anything really in a vacuum, put everything together, and that's when you get a full picture of the character. So she is exceptionally good from an offensive point of view, because you've got the high skill multipliers, you've also got 30% crit chance through the passive once that's maxed out, and then you've got the chaining that we talked about earlier as well. But what we'll check out next, not as controversial unfortunately, it's just the defensive stats coming up now. Defense wise, her stats are really what you would expect, because she's a glass cannon character and one that needs a tank to keep her alive. So health is D, armour is F, and then resistance is down at D. Now one thing she does have as well, she doesn't have a lot of it, but when I do try to do these videos I try to make sure I'm being as comprehensive as possible, and she's actually got 3% dodge chance built into her kit as well, so there's a very small chance that will proc unless you're playing the AI, and we know she'll be dodging all over the place. But next up, what we'll do is we'll check out her abilities. Ability wise then, we've got 4 to look at in total. We've got the basic, the special, the ultimate, and then we've got the passive as well, and we'll look at all the tooltips as if they were max level so you can see the full potential of the character. Now her passive, we'll start off with that, it's deadly method, so you gain 10% crit chance. She actually has 10% crit chance built into her kit already, so that means you've got 20 in total there. And then you apply 10% crit chance to Guardian allies. It's never really been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure because she's got the Guardian tag, she will get that as well, meaning that she then has 30% crit chance in total, and then you apply plus 5% crit chance to other allies as well. So it's a pretty nice passive there. For the basic skill, we've got a perfect example of the actual high multipliers that we're talking about. So our basic is Assassin's Strike. With this you attack the primary target for 250% damage, which is pretty nice on its own, but you also have up to a 50% chance for a bonus attack up to 2 times at max level for an additional 200% damage. So in total, if you were able to get that bonus attack hitting twice from her basic, you could be doing 650% damage, which is absolutely insane and more than makes up for that low damage. And it's probably the fact she has a low damage, because if she didn't with these high multipliers, it would just be completely overpowered. It really would be. But what we'll check out next will be her special skill. For the special skill then, we have another perfect example of how our kit can compensate that low base damage. So this skill is called Ruthless Blade. You can use it at the start of a fight, and because she's got high attack speed you can get it off nice and early. So you attack the primary target for a pretty huge 270% damage, and you have up to a 50% chance to chain up to 2 additional targets for 200% damage. So you're not putting out all the damage in one character, but in total you could be putting out 670% damage across various different characters. And if you defeat an enemy with this, it will fill your speed bar by 100% as well, meaning you can fire off another skill. So that can be really deadly if you're going up against enemies that you're able to one-shot with this. For the ultimate skill, we have one called Flying Slash. Now it takes in total 5 turns to charge, but it starts off with 3 charges. Now when you use this you gain a fence up for up to 2 turns. It's something, truth be told, I actually missed in the section when we were talking about the stats that pull up our base damage as well. So you've got that. You've also got the fact that if you pair it up with Star-Lord, who's all about giving characters energy, you could get a very high uptime on that offence. Now the actual damage numbers wise, you attack the primary target for a pretty huge 420% damage, and this is another skill that fills up the speed bar. So if you get that kill, and you can then gun for another skill. So if we think of the skills in order, you could use Flying Slash to take out an enemy, you could then use your special, and if you take out an enemy you can then use your basic, so you can get a heap of chains there, and it's a beautiful sight to see when it does happen. Now for the next section we will look at synergies. This is teams you want to place her in, and also characters you want to avoid when you are playing as her. When we look at the list of characters that she can work well with, this really shouldn't come as much of a surprise. You've got the 5 Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got Star-Lord, he can provide her with energy, and then the remaining characters don't actually buff her, but she will buff them because she can give them the extra crit chance. You could also pair her up with Iron Man, because Iron Man can actually give 10% extra crit chance to allies, which would mean in total she could have up to 40% crit chance. So imagine that basic skill up at max level, 650% damage, and then it crits. Wow, that would be pretty nice. When it comes to actual enemies you want to avoid here, I'll normally name specific characters, but there's quite a group of characters that you genuinely want to stay away from, and it would be teams that have a lot of tanks and high defense enemies. The reason for that, again, we're going back to the fact she's got the low base damage. This is pulled up through her multipliers and chain attacks. So the multipliers aren't affected by tanks, but the chain attacks are, because if you're not defeating an enemy and getting the killing blow on them, then you're not making use of the chain attacks at all, and this is a large part of her kit. Now because this section is a little bit lighter than usual, I'll quickly mention enemies that she can actually be very strong against, and that would be summoners, because Kingpin or Yondu summons in 2 characters, you can one-shot them and then you can get another skill and take out the other one, so she's very useful in that regard. Now what we'll do with all that covered enemy, we'll now see where she places in the tier list. For the tier list here then, we have 5 different gradings, the most powerful one being Omega. We've got 2 characters there so far, we've got Yondu and Hawkeye, and as we go from left to right it works its way down to the least powerful. Way down at level 1 there's going to be one or two characters unfortunately that fall in that bracket that I will be covering in time. Now, in regards to Gamora, where would she place? I would say that she is an alpha hero. She misses out on Omega because while she has incredible high damage, she is relying on chains to really keep that damage going, and also you need to get her skills up to a high level before you start to see the multipliers kick in and pull up her base damage. So it takes a whole lot of investment in her to get her to that really powerful level, whereas characters like Yondu and Hawkeye, they don't require as much investment at all. Another element of what would make a character alpha or omega is, do they offer anything unique? Now, Gamora gives a nice amount of damage when the chain works, it's great, but you've got other characters that can put out high amounts of damage, and also they can do it via AoEs, which is a guaranteed chain in a way. So that's the reason she does fall into the alpha class. So I hope this particular video has been useful. I hope you're still subscribed after that stat section I showed off earlier on, and thanks for tuning in as always, and I'll see you all again soon.